is one of the key issues that they're looking at this election, and specifically the influx of illegal immigrants from more than 150 countries. How many illegal immigrants would you estimate your administration has released into the country over the last 3.5 years?
Well, I'm glad you raised the issue of immigration because I agree with you. It is a topic of discussion that people want to rightly have. And you know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, but
right
do you
now,
just a number? Do you think it's 1 million, 3 million?
Bret, let's just get to the point.
Oh my God. Smash that like button, tell a friend and tell a friend. This is the beginning. This is not the end. Kamala, can you please answer the question, please? All these deflective mechanisms. When are you going to face the fact to answer the questions? You want me to give y'all the answer? The correct answer is it's over 20 million immigrants that came across the border. 20 million. That's just a rough estimate. 20 million. But let's continue. Let's continue. She's starting it off on the wrong foot. Do y'all agree?
Okay, the point is that we have a broken immigration system that needs to be repaired.
So your Homeland Security Secretary said that 85% of apprehensions.
I'm not finished. We have an
it's a rough estimate of 6 million people have been released into the country. And let me just finish. I'll get you the question. I promise you.
I was beginning to answer.
And when you came into office, your administration immediately reversed a number of Trump border policies.
He did a great job of stopping the malarkey. I was beginning to answer all the fluff. No, you wasn't. You was going to side. You was going to side swipe the whole situation like you always do. You never give a direct answer to anything. We've been waiting on the correct answer. We all know it. All we got to do is go on Google. They let you know how many immigrants, illegal immigrants, came into the United States of America. A rough estimate. Y'all even have a program called the CHNV program. Look it up. That's a reference point. The CHNV program, that's a program for all the inmates that was overseas in these foreign countries. They came over. They flew them over here. Right? Most of them are murderers and everything else, right? And you wonder why the crime rate's going up in the nation's capital or the United States of America, why the crime rate has plummeted in El Salvador, plummeted in Venezuela, plummeted in Haiti, because all the crimesters are here. But yet we're supposed to be the land of the free and the home of the brave, and we're supposed to be so safe. No, we're not. America is in danger.
Most significantly, the policy that required illegal immigrants to be detained through deportation, either in the U.S. or in Mexico. And you switched that policy. They were released from custody.
I got a request. Cooking up that cook up, 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 cooking up that cook up. Kamala Harris is getting cooked right now, sauteed, well done. How do y'all want it? Y'all want it well done? Y'all want it medium rare? How do you want this one? You want it bloody? How do you want this one? That's all I'm saying. Bret, you're cooking her right now. Great interview.
Awaiting trial. So instead, included in those were a large number of single men, adult men, who went on to commit heinous crimes. So, looking back, do you regret the decision to terminate Remain in Mexico at the beginning of your administration?
At the beginning of our administration, within practically hours of taking the oath, the first bill that we offered Congress, before we worked on infrastructure, before the Inflation Reduction Act, before the Chips and Science Act, before the bipartisan Safer Communities Act, the first bill, practically within hours of taking the oath, was a bill to fix our immigration system.
Yes, ma'am. It was called the U.S. Citizenship Act of 2021.
Exactly.
It was essentially a pathway to citizenship for the... Yes, ma'am.
May I finish responding, please?
But
you have to let me finish,
You
please.
had the White House and the House and the Senate,
and they didn't bring up that bill. I'm in the middle of responding to the point you're raising, and I'd like to finish.
Yes, ma'am.
Man, we're tired of hearing the malarkey. That's why we can't let you finish, because you never have an answer. So what are you really finishing? Absolutely nothing. Can someone say absolutely nothing in the chat? What is she finishing? Absolutely nothing. We're tired of hearing it. So he got to cut you off and he did a great job. He's doing you how you do all these other interviewers. You go ahead and state your point, and then you try to sway the question to another question, and then you ask them, well, the question that you should be asking is, what? So you're answering a question with a question and trying to move the goalpost. Stay right here. Stay right here. He's doing a good job of having her to stay right here. And y'all see how combative she is? And y'all want this lady to be a president of the United States of America. My God. God bless America, I guess.
We recognized from day one that, to the point of this being your first question, it is a priority for us as a nation and for the American people. And our focus has been on fixing a problem. And from day one, then, we have done a number of things, including to address our asylum system and put more resources, getting more judges, what we needed to do to tighten up penalties and increase penalties for illegal crossings.
Answer the question.
What we needed to do to deal with points of entry between border entry points. That's the work we did, and we worked on supporting what was a bipartisan effort, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Congress, to actually strengthen the border. That border bill would have put 1,500 more border agents at the border, which is why I believe the Border Patrol agents supported the bill. It would have allowed us to stem the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States, which is a scourge affecting people of every background, every geographic location in our country.
Ma'am, but y'all the one that let the people in, though. You playing devil's advocate. What you're trying to do is blame Congress. Stop blaming Congress. When you the VP, when you was in control of the border, stop blaming Congress for what they didn't pass and what they didn't do. You had a president right there that could have vetoed a lot of different things. So stop blaming Congress, please. The blame is you didn't take it serious, or you knew the outcome of it. You wanted them to come over so you can get them to vote for you. That's why 14 states in the United States of America don't require voters' ID. These are most of the sanctuary states. Make it make sense. So you needed a vote so bad that you realized that your schematics did not work. It hurted America more than ever before. Did the Democrats make a boatload of money? Probably so, because all you had to do is have some form of agencies that help the migrants, and the government was going to give you a lot of money for housing them, for making sure that they straight, shelter, food. Look what happened. Where did the money go to? The hotels, the people that own shelters, the people that was helping. So it's a lot of money in the situation. That's why you sold out for the money. To me, it was all about the Benjamins for you, Kamala. It was all about the Benjamins. You don't care what Americans think. You don't care about the safety of America. You don't. You don't care about these same illegal immigrants that you allow to be here, the same people that's bringing the fentanyl right across the border. But yet it's such a crisis. It's like you're creating your own crisis.
Killing people.
Jesus Christ.
It would have allowed us to put more resources into prosecuting transnational criminal organizations, which I have done as the former attorney general of a border state.
Madam Vice President, a couple of things.
Prosecuted trafficking of drugs, guns, and human beings. And Donald Trump, but let me just finish.
6 Democrats voted against that bill.
Learned about that bill and told them to kill it because he preferred to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem.
Y'all keep on blaming Donald Trump when y'all the people in office. Make it make sense. Y'all the people in office. He's running for the next term. He's running for the exact next term. Y'all in office. Y'all have the power. Y'all have the right. Y'all did nothing, absolutely nothing but aid the problem. Y'all didn't solve anything. So stop pointing the finger and playing the blame game when we adults here. The finger should be pointed at self, not anyone else.
And in this election, this is rightly a discussion that the American people want to have. And what they want are solutions, and they want a president of the United States who's not playing political games with the issue,
I hear you.
but actually is focused on fixing
6
it.
Democrats voted against that bill. It would have allowed 1.8 million illegal immigrants into the country a year. A lot of conservatives had a problem with it. These are the 6 Democrats.
He said he hit her with the pause. I hear you. Hey, Brett, you all right with me? He hit her with the pause. I hear you. It's like, go on. So long, go on. The lies that was told. Go on, Kamala, go on.
But more importantly, back to the original premise, Jocelyn Nungari, Rachel Morin, Laken Riley, they are young women who were brutally assaulted and killed by some of the men who were released at the beginning of the administration, well before a negotiated bipartisan bill. Former President Clinton actually referred to Laken Riley Sunday campaigning for you in Georgia, saying if those men had been properly vetted, Laken Riley probably would not have been killed. So if it wouldn't have happened, this is well before any negotiation. This is well before Donald Trump got involved in the politics. This is a specific policy decision by your administration to release these men into the country. So what I'm saying to you, do you owe
Brett,
those families an apology?
Let me just say, first of all, those are tragic cases. There's no question about
it. He just said the same thing I just said. Stop blaming Donald Trump when Trump wasn't even in office. If you would have blamed Biden, then it would have been a whole nother case, but you would feel so disgusted blaming your own party now, wouldn't you? Because that would be the truth. But yet you can't blame Biden because Biden appointed you to the board of czar. So you're supposed to take care of that. So the real blame should be like this. It should be just like this. When I mean just like this, it should be like this. Just like that. Because at the end of the day, you're responsible for it. You don't know what you're doing.
that. There's no question about that. And I can't imagine the pain that the families of those victims have experienced for a loss that should not have occurred. So that is true. It is also true that if a border security had actually been passed 9 months ago, it would be 9 months that we would have had more border agents at the border, more support for the folks who are working around the clock trying to hold it all together.
Madam Vice President.
To ensure that no...
9 months ago, you guys still was head. You guys, the Democrats, and look, y'all at the end of the term. So 9 months ago, y'all still would have been in the hot seat. It's still on y'all. Last time I checked, 9 months ago, Trump was not the president. 9 months ago. It was still Biden. The lies that she told, it don't make no sense. Make it make sense. Can somebody post that in the comments?
Future harm would occur. And this election in 20 days will determine whether we have a president of the United States who actually cares more about fixing a problem, even if it is not to their political advantage in an election, because there was a solution, Brett.
Madam Vice President, it was a policy decision in the early part of your administration. I will let one of the mothers talk about it. Take a listen.
Because of the Biden-Harris administration open border policies catch and release, they were enrolled in the Alternatives to Detention program. This meant that they were released into the United States. It was not even a full 3 weeks later that they would take my daughter, Jocelyn Nungari's life. I believe the Biden-Harris administration open border policies are responsible for the death of my daughter.
That's the early days. So do you owe them an apology is what I'm saying.
I will tell you that I am so sorry for her loss. I am so sorry for her loss. Sincerely. But let's talk about what is happening right now with an individual who does not want to participate in solutions. Let's talk about that as well.
But do you want to answer
in all fairness, I told you, I feel awful for what she and her family have experienced.
During that time, you said repeatedly that the border was secure. When in your mind did it start becoming a crisis?
I think we've had a broken immigration system transcending, by the way, Donald Trump's administration even before. Let's all be honest about that. I have no pride in saying that this is a perfect immigration system. I've been clear, I think we all are. that it needs to be fixed. We need more. I was just down at the border talking with border agents, and they will tell you, and I'm sure you probably, I know you investigate and you are a serious journalist. They will tell you, we need more judges. We need to process those cases faster. We need the support for those cases that should be prosecuted. They need more resources, and Congress ultimately is the only place that that's going to get fixed, Bret.
Well,
There she go.
That's how this system works.
That's the premise of this question.
But
There were
that's how the
90
system
plus
works.
executive orders that.
There she go. There she go. She's gonna blame Congress for everything. There she go. Either I know her whole lineup now. She's so predictable. Either she's gonna blame Trump, but Trump had nothing to do with anything because y'all was under administration. So Biden and you, right? Or if you're not gonna blame Trump, you're gonna say, well, Congress, we had a bills and nothing didn't get passed. Congress, it's Congress this, it's Congress that. I think she's from Congress Heights. Hold on.
That were rescinded in the first days. Many of those were Trump border policies. I'm not going to stay here because there's other things to talk about, but you frequently talk to the Border Patrol Union for support of that bipartisan bill, and they did. They supported it. But they also just endorsed Donald Trump and said, you've been, quote, a failure with border security. Why do you think they said that?
I think they're frustrated, and I get it. They want support. They want support, and that's what that border security bill would have done. These guys down at the border, these men and women.
She killed me off that little puny, little toony voice. They want border support. They need it. I get it. I'm so sorry that something happened to them. I totally get it. No, you don't. You don't get anything, right? You didn't even show any sympathy for the family of the what happened to the migrants for killing their daughter. You didn't show any form of sympathy. I get it. You think lowering down your voice shows sympathy. I get it. I know that would happen. But I don't understand. I understand that it was me and Biden. But I get it. I get it. It's sad. This is sad. But y'all want her to be president. She don't get anything.
And they're working hard. They're working around the clock. I get it.
You
There's a
don't.
lot of people that look back at what you said in 2019 when you first ran for president. And there have been changes, and you've talked about some of them. When it comes to immigration, you supported allowing immigrants in the country illegally to apply for driver's license, to qualify for free tuition at universities, to be enrolled in free health care. You still support those things?
Listen, that was 5 years ago, and I'm very clear that I will follow the law. I have made that statement over and over again, and as Vice President of the United States, that's exactly what I've done, not to mention before.
No, you haven't.
If that's the case, you chose a running mate, Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, who signed those very things into state law. So do you support that?
We are very clear, and I am very clear, as is Tim Walz, that we must support and enforce federal law, and that is exactly what we will do.
So decriminalizing border crossings, like you said in 2019.
I do not believe in decriminalizing border crossings, and I've not done that as vice president. I will not do that as president.
So these are evolutions that you've had.
But let's be very clear. I'm the only person who's running for president who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations, from the Sinaloa cartel to the Guadalajara cartel to people who have trafficked in guns, drugs, and human beings. I have spent a significant part of my career going after people who present a threat to the safety of the American people and cross our border with the intent of doing us harm and cross our border illegally. And I will do that work as vice president. I take that work quite seriously.
This is a time when voters, especially here in Pennsylvania, are inundated with commercials and ads. They just want it to stop because it's every commercial. But many of them add noise, but a few of them seem to break through. This particular one from the Trump campaign has gotten a lot of attention.
Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners. Every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
So Are you still in support of using taxpayer dollars to help prison inmates or detained illegal aliens to transition to another gender?
I will follow the law, and it's a law that Donald Trump actually followed. You're probably familiar with, now it's a public report, that under Donald Trump's administration, these surgeries were available on a medical necessity basis to people in the federal prison system. And I think, frankly, that ad from the Trump campaign is a little bit of like throwing, stones when you're living in a glass house.
The Trump aides say that he never advocated for that prison policy and no gender transition.
Ever.
Well, you know
surgeries
what? You got to
happened
take
during
responsible for what
his
happened in your
presidency.
administration.
Yeah, no surgeries happened in his presidency.
It's in black and white.
Would you still advocate for using taxpayer dollars for gender reassessment
I will
surgeries?
follow the law, just as I
you have a
think
say
Donald
in
Trump would
this.
say he did.
You would have a say as president.
Like I said, I think it's real. He spent $20 million on those ads, trying to create a sense of fear in the voters because he actually has no plan.
Ma'am, Trump had nothing to do with it. It's so sad. He had absolutely nothing to do with it. Y'all the one that have something to do with it. You want to know why? Because Obama is on your team, and Obama is the one that made sure that the LBG community had a voice and had everything else that they needed. So this was part of y'all giving them what they rightfully owe. She lied with a straight face. That's crazy to me. She lied with a straight face.
In this election that is about focusing on the needs of the American people, whereas at $20 million on that ad, on an issue that, as it relates to the biggest issues that affect the American people, it's really quite remote. And again, his policy was not.
He spent $20 million on that ad to make sure that people know the truth. That's what he did, and that's what you don't like. You talking about how much money he spent on it. How much money did you get as far as endorsements? 280 something million dollars off the first night. Who endorsed you that much? George Soros, Microsoft, Bill Gates, and all of these other people. So what's wrong with that? Spending ad money on telling the truth, exposing the truth. I think it was well worth it because now you're stumbling and fumbling.
No different. Look at where we are, though.
They say
On plans for the American people, I'm offering a plan to deal with affordable housing. I'm offering a plan to deal with what we need to do to strengthen small businesses, which are the backbone of America's economy. I am offering a plan that is about taking care of young parents and giving them the support they need. My plans for the economy will strengthen the economy, as have been reviewed by 16 Nobel laureates, Goldman Sachs, Moody's, and recently the Wall Street Journal, which have all studied our plans and have indicated my plans for our economy would strengthen our economy, his would make them weaker, would ignite inflation and invite a recession by the middle of next year. Those are the facts.
Why do you think more people say they trust him on the economy than they trust you?
I think that when you look at an analysis of our plans for what we would do as president of the United States, it has been clear to those who study and understand how economic policy works that moving forward, because I do believe the American people are ready to turn the page on the divisiveness and the type of rhetoric that has come out of Donald Trump. People are ready to chart a new way forward, and they want a president who has a plan for the future and a plan that is sound and will strengthen our country. My plan for the economy does exactly that.
No, it
His
don't.
plan would be, again, to give tax cuts to billionaires and the biggest corporations in our country and blow up our deficit.
It's interesting.
How do you, okay, if that was the case, then a follow-up question would be, what exactly is your plan? And how do you plan on getting the money to pay for your plan? I bet you she stopped foaming at the mouth. I bet.
Said turn the page, Madam Vice President. You were asked on 2 different shows last week what, if anything, you would do differently than President Biden. Here's what you said.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
This is comedy. This is a comedy show because for everything that she said, right? He just threw up a video like, look Look, I got the receipts. I got the receipts. He came with the receipts. So she's fighting against herself. I guess you would consider fighting her demons. Oh my God. Smash that like button. Tell a friend and tell a friend. Kamala, you have reached the end of the road. You have reached the end of your road.
The Harris administration, what would the major changes be and what would stay the same?
Sure. Well, I mean, I'm obviously not Joe Biden.
I noticed.
And so that would be one change in terms of, but also I think it's important to say with, 28 days to go, I'm not Donald Trump.
So you're not Joe Biden, you're not Donald Trump, but,
So who are you?
nothing comes to mind that you would do differently?
Let me be very clear. My presidency will not be a continuation of Joe Biden's presidency. And like every new president that comes into office, I will bring my life experiences, my professional experiences, and fresh and new ideas. I represent a new generation of leadership. I, for example, am someone who has not spent the majority of my career in Washington, D.C. I invite ideas, whether it be from the Republicans who are supporting me, who were just on stage with me minutes ago, and the business sector, and others who can contribute to the decisions that I make about, for example, my plan for increasing the supply of housing in America and bringing down the cost of housing, addressing the issue of small businesses, which is about working with the private sector to bring more capital and access to capital to our small business leaders, including my plan for a $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers and for small businesses, extending the tax deduction from $5,000 to $50,000.
We've heard a lot about those plans in recent days. Your campaign slogan is a new way forward, and it's time to turn the page. You've been vice president for 3.5 years. So what are you turning the page from?
Well, first of all, turning the page from the last decade in which we've been burdened with the kind of rhetoric coming from Donald Trump that has been designed and implemented to divide our country and have Americans literally point fingers at each other. Rhetoric and an approach to leadership that suggests that the strength of a leader is based on who you beat down instead of what we all know. The strength of leadership is based on who you lift up. The strength of an American president, which is one who understands that the vast majority of us have more in common.
Now she's trying to raise her voice above the occasion. Man, do you understand? Instead of raising your voice, who said this? I think Anton Daniel said this the other day. And I'm gonna give him credit when credit's due, right? Instead of raising your voice, won't you strengthen your argument? Let me repeat. Instead of raising your voice, won't you strengthen your argument? You raising your voice don't mean that you're right. You could be loud and wrong. Put loud and wrong in the chat. She's giving me loud and wrong vibes. She's dead wrong at that. Dead wrong.
And then what separates us?
Madam Vice President, more than
turning the
70% of people
That is
tell
about turning the page on rhetoric that people are frankly exhausted of, Brett.
More than 70% of people
exhausted.
tell the country is on the wrong track. They say the country is on the wrong track. If it's on the wrong track,
that right there.
That track follows 3.5 years of you being vice president and President Biden being president. That is what they're saying, 79% of them. Why are they saying that? If you're turning the page, you've been in office for 3.5 years.
And Donald Trump has been running for office.
You know what happens? She's not turning the page, right? She's reading the same page over and over again. That's what she's doing. She put a bookmark on the same page and she's been stuck on the same page. And she act like she's reading every day for 45 minutes to an hour, right? She act like she's reading, but she's reading nothing at all. She's been at a standstill, basically. And then when things go wrong, it's Donald Trump or the Congress. But y'all was in power. The man not even in power. But yet y'all in power at the end of the term and y'all still can't do nothing. Y'all haven't been doing anything. Goes to show.
But you've been the person holding the office.
Come on.
Madam
You
Vice
and I
President.
both know what I'm talking about.
No, we don't.
You and
No,
I
we don't.
both know what I'm talking about.
I actually don't. What are you talking about?
What I'm talking about is that over the last
She tried to hit her with the, well, you know what I'm talking about. We can relate. We can relate. Que pasa? Que pasa? Your house, my house? No, no, your house is not my house. My house is my house. Your house is your house. We not even there. So, ma'am, madam, what exactly are you talking about? I would like to know. Can we talk about it? This is a healthy discussion. Well needed. Kamala, let the truth reign supreme. You are cooked. Put a fork in it. Grab your pots and pans. It's time to cook. Don't forget the spatula. Hey, Brit, Fox 5, you are cooking up that cook up. Keep cooking it up.
Last decade,
But you're
people
the
have
lever of
become,
power.
but listen, over the last decade, it is clear to me, and certainly the Republicans who are on stage with me, the former chief of staff to the president, Donald Trump, former defense secretaries, national security advisor, and his vice president. One, that he is unfit to serve, that he is unstable, that he is dangerous, and that people are exhausted with someone who professes to be a leader who spends full time demeaning and engaging in personal grievances and it being about him
Madam
instead
Vice
of
President,
the American people.
if
People
that's the
are
case,
tired of that.
If that's the case, why is half the country supporting him? Why is he beating you in a lot of swing states? Why, if he's as bad as you say, that half of this country is now supporting this person who could be the 47th president of the United States? Why is that happening?
This is an election for president of the United States. It's not supposed to be easy.
I know, but
It's
if
not.
You can't make it up. Now she gonna say, well, now, you know, when you back somebody in the corner, especially a woman, they say, now, well, whoever said it was gonna be easy? I never said that running for president was gonna be easy. That's basically saying, do you know the Muffin Man? The Muffin Man. The Muffin Man. I'm at a comedy show right now. I'm telling y'all, I am at a comedy show right now. Kamala is like this. Do you know the Muffin Man? The Muffin Man. The Muffin Man.
Supposed to be, it is not supposed to be a
so
cakewalk
are they
for
misguided,
anyone.
the 50%?
Listen,
Are they stupid? What is
God,
it?
I would never say that about the American people. And in fact, if you listen to Donald Trump, if you watch any of his rallies, he's the one who tends to demean and belittle and diminish the American people. He's
No,
the
he
one who
don't.
talks about an enemy within, an enemy within, talking about the American people, suggesting he would turn the American military on the American people.
We asked that question to the former president today. Harris Faulkner had a town hall, and this is how he responded.
I heard about that. They were saying I was like threatening. I'm not threatening anybody. They're the ones doing the threatening. They do phony investigations. I've been investigated more than Alphonse Capone. He was the greatest gangster. No, it's true. We've got to think of it. It's called weaponization of government. It's a terrible thing.
So,
Brett, I'm sorry, and with all due respect, that clip was not what he has been saying about the enemy within that he has repeated when he's speaking about the American people. That's not what you just showed.
he was asked about that specific...
No, that's not what you just showed. In all fairness and respect to you.
That was the question that we asked him.
You didn't show that, and here's the bottom line. He has repeated it many times, and you and I both know that. And you and I both know that he has talked about turning the American military on the American people.
No.
He has talked about going after people who are engaged in peaceful protest. He has talked about locking people up.
Ma'am, speak for yourself. Speak for yourself. He already let you know he don't know what you're talking about. Stop trying to drag people under the bus with you. If you want to go under the bus by yourself, then go under the bus by yourself, Kamala. Don't try to drag people with you. The man stated, Brit stated, I don't know what you're talking about. And me and you both don't know anything. You know what you know. I know what I know.
Because they disagree with him. This is a democracy. And in a democracy, the president of the United States, in the United States of America, should be willing to be able to handle criticism without saying he'd lock people up for doing it. And this is what is at stake, which is why
He was the same attorney general locking people up for doing things with marijuana. Now you want to give them marijuana and marijuana incentives? Like, you're talking about yourself, madam. And this is a democracy, and a democracy states that this, that. You do not represent the democracy in any type of way. You do not represent it quite well. Look at you. You can't even handle yourself. And this is a democracy. Why you got to be so alpha? You're just like a weak man. It's like an alpha woman is just a weak man to me. What are you talking about, woman? What are you talking about?
you have someone like the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff saying what Mark Milley has said about Donald Trump being a threat to the United States of America.
He's quoted in the Bob Woodward book that way, yes. Let me ask you this, Madam Vice President. You call Donald Trump, you call Donald Trump, he's misguided. You say now
he's unstable. He is unstable, Brett.
He's not well. You say he's mentally not stable.
He's not stable.
Let me ask you this. You told many interviewers that Joe Biden was on his game, that ran around circles on his staff. When did you first notice that President Biden's mental faculties appeared to be
Joe Biden.
Hey, Bret, you may be one of the best interviewers that I've seen, because for everything she said, you got to answer for her. You even got video evidence, and you also kept your receipts. If Trump is so unstable and Trump is this and Trump is that, right? Then why the hell Biden falling up and down these stairs? Why Biden don't know which way to go, left or right? Why when Biden come in the room, don't nobody stand up, but when Trump come in the room, everybody stand up like he's a lieutenant or general or something? Men respect men. We don't respect anything else. But let's continue.
I have watched from the Oval Office to the Situation Room, and he has the judgment and the experience to do exactly what he has done in making very important decisions on behalf of the American people.
There were no concerns raised?
Brett, Joe Biden is not on the ballot.
I understand.
And Donald Trump
but
is.
You talked about it.
And Donald Trump
After George Clooney said within a few minutes of talking to President Biden at a fundraiser that he thought this was not the same Joe Biden that we saw on the debate stage.
Donald Trump is on the ballot.
I understand. You met with him at least once a week for 3.5 years. You didn't have any concerns?
She tried to get her point across, and he X'd her out. Like, what are you talking about? You're not about to try to overtalk me on my show. If I was Brett, I would have said, man, you got to go. You're not about to overtalk me on my show. You on my show. This is my interview. You on my platform. You're abiding by my rules. My rule states that, man, don't cut me off. Let me talk. If I say go on to the next point, then go on to the next point. You see her body language, her eyes rose and all that. Peep her body language, though, because your mouth can say one thing, your body language can say the other. She's actually holding something. She got her hands crossed. She rolled her eyes. She batted her eyes all the time. Like, damn, he got me. When she get caught up into something, it's what's wrong with you? Something's really wrong with her, man. Smash that like button if you agree. Tell a friend and tell a friend. Let's get it.
I think the American people have a concern about Donald Trump, which is why the people who know him best,
we got concerned about
including leaders of our national security community, have all spoken out. Even people who worked for him in the Oval Office, worked with him in the Situation Room, and have said he is unfit and dangerous and should never be president of the United States again, including his former vice president, which is why the job was open for him to choose another running mate. So that is a fact. That is a fact.
Madam Vice President, two more things. You were asked on 60 Minutes about the biggest threat that the world faces, that the U.S. faces. This is what you said.
Which foreign country do you consider to be our greatest adversary?
Great one.
I think there's an obvious one in mind, which is Iran. Iran has American blood on their hands. Okay, this attack on Israel, 200 ballistic missiles. What we need to do to ensure that Iran never achieves the ability to be a nuclear power, that is one of my highest priorities.
A number of experts thought you would say China. The FBI director had said that. But you said Iran. If that's the case, what do you say to critics who look at the actions of your administration and say you're not acting like Iran is the number one threat?
Well, I will tell you most recently, whether it was in April or in October, and then several hours on each occasion that Iran posed a threat to Israel, I was there. Most recently in the Situation Room, in the most recent attack, working with the heads of our military and doing what America must always do to defend and to support Israel in its requirement to defend itself, and to give American support to be able to allow Israel to have the resources to defend itself against attack, including from Iran and Iran's terrorist proxies in the region.
Right.
And that
But those
is,
proxies were getting
and
funded
my
by Iran.
commitment to that is unyielding and unwavering.
Critics just say that you either relaxed or failed to enforce sanctions on Iran, allowing
Facts.
all of this money to flow into Iran, like billions.
Let's
in
go back to
oil
Donald
profits.
Trump, who pulled out of a deal that would have actually put
But here are
Iran in check.
the estimates
and then
in billions
it was during Donald Trump's
that go
administration
towards the
that
Iran regime.
that we had an American military base that was attacked, where American soldiers suffered traumatic brain injuries, and Donald Trump dismissed them as headaches, not to mention
Madam
how
Vice
Donald
President,
Trump has
all of this money
has treated
that
and
has
talked
gone
about
in the
America's
past few
military
years,
and military service people,
critics
calling
say
them
that it goes to
suckers and
Hezbollah,
losers,
Hamas,
has diminished
and
the
Houthis. We're
significance.
talking over each other. I apologize.
I would like that we would have a conversation that is.
You can't have a conversation if you keep talking out loud. You don't know how to have a healthy discussion. Can we talk about it? Madam, you do not know how to have a healthy discussion. You're frustrated, and it shows. Smash that like button if y'all agree. You're frustrated, and it shows. You're on this man platform. How rude, how disrespectful, but yet you want to be someone's president. Grow up.
Grounded in full assessment of the facts, which includes, I think this interview is supposed to be about the choices that your viewers should be presented about this election, and the contrast is important.
Yes, ma'am.
And on the subject of Iran, I am offering what should be an important contrast that is presented for folks to make a
And there
decision
are
that
critics
they
who
feel.
look at what the administration did and say and think differently. Madam Vice President, they're wrapping me very hard here. I hope you got to say what you wanted to say about Donald Trump. There are a lot of things
There's more to say. I have much more to say,
there are a lot of
actually.
things that people want to learn about you and your policies.
Yes.
That's why we
I
invited
invite
you
everyone to go to kamalaharris.com, and you will see that I have 80 pages of policies that are quite comprehensive and should be accessible to anyone who would like to read them.
What?
And it includes what I intend to do about affordable housing, what I intend to do about small businesses, what I do
And that's why
intend
we
to do to
invited you
strengthen our
here
economy,
to see where you were in 2019 and where you are
support
now.
America's military and ensure we have the most
Oh,
lethal
come on.
and best fighting force in the world.
Madam Vice President,
And
they're giving me a hard rap
Well,
here.
I thank you for the time.
I thank you for the time.
It's good to meet you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
He ain't even bothered to shake her hands, no nothing. Thank you very much. Get off the screen, basically. He said, thank you very much. Get off the screen. On that note, this was just a recap. What y'all think about this? Did y'all think that this interview was informative? Was she trying to overtalk Bret? Was she even? Was she even? Was she even? Was she even respectable or commendable in this situation? Did she act like any form of president? Do we know any one of her policies? She's telling us, hey, we didn't get a chance to talk about me. We talked about everything else but about me, but go on my website to figure out what my digital footprint, as if we people going to know who you are. Madame, you failed at this interview horribly. Horribly. This is about to go viral. Everyone's going to be talking about it. YouTubers, XYZ. We are going to discuss this thing thoroughly. Ma'am, you failed. Britt, you did a great job of asking her the questions. And when she's tried to overpower you with her words, you threw up the receipt and you threw up the video logs. Thank God for the internet. Thank God for video feeds, right? Because that shows how incompetent she really is. That shows how just about a week ago she was saying this, right? And then now she's saying that. It shows how chameleous, or that's not even a word, how the fact that she act like a chameleon, right? To any situation, which means she stand for nothing and she will fall for everything. She having no principle, no morals. She want to blame Trump for everything. If she don't blame Trump, I know her second play. She want to blame Congress. She never blame herself and or her administration. She really is not sincere about the people that came across the border and that devastated the American people that was here already, killed the lady daughter and a few other relatives, right? She's not concerned about that. She tried to hit you with the gingerbread man voice. Do you, or the muffin man's voice? Do you know the muffin man? When it's time for her to get sensitive and stuff like that. So this is just my recap of this situation. This was horrible on her behalf, but it was actually excellent on Fox 5 behalf, because yes, we got to see the truth in full effect. You cannot deny some things that you already seen with the receipts and with the quality of the question that he asked. He did a wonderful job of asking these questions. And these are the questions that the American people have asked her, but we have yet to get an answer. And still, we don't get an answer to this day. The only thing that we get from her is blame him, blame her, blame them. That's it. Smash that like button if you agree. Tell a friend to tell a friend. This is the beginning. This is not the end. This is another episode of the Healthy Discussion Show. Don't forget to hit that like button. Email me. I appreciate everyone that's been emailing me on these topics. Someone told me to cover this up right now, so I decided to do it before I got to go in to do something else. On that note, be safe, be well informed, be educated, and make sure that you go vote. At the end of the day, make sure that you go vote. On that note, God bless America, and remember, positivity over negativity always.